All right, welcome back, everyone. This will potentially be a quick stream tonight because we're getting a really late start as I had to run errands earlier, and I don't want to, do the irresponsible thing and stay up too late. But long story short, I think we're gonna do more experimenting without the natural order package. For the most part, we can live without it. Is what I've found while being able to dodge, some of the hate that players are packing for the graveyard decks, namely Grafdigger's Cage. So that is one nice upside, and having more utility overall. One of the strengths of this deck, I would say, is its consistency, and the sideboard um, aims to lean into this a little bit more. But so first of all, you were able to get majority 7 out of 8 of the endurance and Thoughtseize package into the main deck by um, cutting the natural order package. We do have to play the grist, I think, just as a way to for inevitability, so you don't randomly get stuck on a board state that you can't break through, so to speak. Once you unlock the deck with white, so the utility that's opened up is I really do like the flexibility of the modality that crop rotation provides, namely it can get Saga, and get obviously Cradle, Bog, and then Wasteland. This is relevant because lands is trending upwards, and I don't think I have time to go over like what the in full detail all the latest trends, but lands and Keyring are trending upwards. Two top eights in the last week's RCQ each. Uh, for what it's worth, that RCQ, the timing of it prevented a lot of people in the Western Hemisphere from playing because people are either in school or at work. So take that for whatever you want for a grain of salt, I guess. Um, and then I added the Gadok Teague namely as respect for the Keyring decks because it's so easy for them to answer Collector Oof now that I want a second target. And on an empty board with if Karn hasn't hit the table yet, Teague is actually better than Collector Oof. All right. I'm not gonna talk about it too much right now because feel free to ask questions if you have them, but I'll try to sprinkle them in as we progress with the stream. Hey Cisco, hey Francisco, how's it going? Am I fully convinced we don't need natural order? I think it depends. So it depends what your metagame looks like. One second. I think if you're playing against a lot of Eldrazi or these kind of like ancient tomb decks, it's probably still very good. This is key. Uh, I think if Atraxa somehow gets banned, we can probably call it for natural order. I don't think the other targets are good enough. I don't want to play Hoof even if as the natural order target. At least not the primary. I think we just do this. I also don't think Atraxa really hurts Reanimator that much personally. Like Gristlebrand is very good too. Okay, interesting. The cycle their veil of summer. Yeah, I think if Atraxa gets banned, then that answers the question for us. Where we will just be off natural order period, in my opinion. Mm, mm, Sure, I guess. What do I even want here? Maybe the curator. It's a fast clock. Just cycle out the Emrakul. We can green sun for Gris here, which is interesting. Let's do this. Oh, pass, and then we'll phase out the Emrakul. I just don't think it does enough, personally. I'm not gonna put that in because I want to grow the keen eye. That's fine. The question here is like, are we pitching the endurance or are we pitching? I guess it depends how much mana we have. I need to count this. The math here actually. Well, we're gonna phase this out, so I think that answers that question. I should have fetched the arbor then. That was a mistake because it cuts me off of mana. Yeah, this was a mistake. I was thinking about the line for I was thinking about the line for Cradle, and then I like forgot about this for a second. So let's see. Actually, if I pitched the thing, it would have been easier. I would have one more mana. But does that matter here? I guess if I have one more mana, I guess I attack one more with Lair. This is 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, 12. It would have been 13, maybe 14, 15 damage, and then cut off the Ancient Tomb. But yeah, I would have had extra. I potentially could have cut off the Ancient Tomb mana. I think here we just play this. We just take the Annihilator 6 here, I think. Oops, cancel. Okay. All right. I guess they don't have much besides that. We're just gonna take the 15 and just like kill them with a crackback. They have to have they have green here, which makes me and this hedge mage. They're probably on Omni-Tell and just like didn't have a good hand. Um, I will say I think we probably got lucky to win there. Like usually, like if they put an Emrakul, we have a chance, but they usually don't. They put in a tracks or Omni, um, and we're definitely not favored game one. Game two, I think it's like pretty even, and we're probably slightly ahead. We have Haywire Might, but I don't think it's worth it to run that. Shadowspear, unfortunately, probably not good enough. Teague is interesting. It shuts off our Force of Vigor, but it shuts off like some of their lines. I don't know if it's worth it. personally. You can probably board out the forest. The safekeeper doesn't do anything in this matchup. Oof is probably pretty bad too. I guess a Teague is like better than nothing maybe. And I like the curator because it's at least a fast-ish clock. Wasteland could have tech. I feel like Shadowspear is probably too slow. Needle, I don't know what's hitting. Probably not much. Uh, if I had the Haywire, I would play the Saga, but we don't here. And like I said, I don't think that's worth it. Let's hope to get lucky. Can't keep that. Keep. Question is, what are we putting back? The crop rotation is potentially relevant to hit a wasteland. Just try to like chisel in. I think we put out the arbor. Well, probably just a dork because we might want to just hit land drops naturally. Especially since we're going turn one C's, right? Here the Thoughtseize can potentially get underneath the Veil Summer, so I think we probably want to fire it off. If they left open mana, I think we'd probably go Dork and just like call their bluff. I think here shields are down, might as well. Force of Will, Intuition, Lore, and Reveal. Wow, their hand is bad. They can have Lore and Reveal. It's too late for that. Intuition scares me a little bit because they just find 3 show and tells. I think we just take the Intuition. They did keep off the Ponder for whatever that's worth. Cursed Totem? Are you kidding me? Okay. I guess they, I guess they really want to hose us. They have a force too. It's weird because I don't think they're like disadvantaged against the creature decks, but maybe they think they do, or maybe they're bad against the Nadu decks. So the question here is like, do we lead with crop on? They probably force. If they force here, like, do we care? I guess maybe we don't care. I'm almost tempted to take the lore and reveal because I think this game is gonna go long now. Like, yeah, I think this game is probably gonna go long now. Like, we don't have fast clock anymore with this in hand, and they're just like a bunch of blanks in their hand. Now they do have Mystic Sanctuary, so that's something to be aware of. So they can put like the intuition on top of their deck, I guess. But we don't have any kind of clock. A shame, but c'est la vie, right? Hey, how's it going? I think we do. Well, actually, cancel. Let's do this. Kind of a bummer. They forced that. That's good for us, I guess. Very interesting. I guess they. I don't know. It's weird. They have the curse total on the field. Our hierarchs are just gonna have to go the distance, I guess. We're resorting to Tamagotchi beats here. Just F6. Nothing we can do here. I think their list plays Sanctuary, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I believe they have it. So, ugh, that is not what I want to see. Although it's odd that they boarded that in because how are they going to know this game was going to go long? Now we're just dead to this. Ironically enough, a bog would have been nice. Yeah, well, there's nothing we can do, and it. I think we're just dead to that card, which is kind of funny because I think that card is actually bad in this matchup, but somehow we're here. I wonder if that changes how I'm gonna board. I don't think so. Like, how are we gonna know that our opponent is gonna play a very narrow card against us in what is actually a very favorable matchup for them too? So like, I feel like it's a waste of sideboard cards, but maybe they lost to this deck recently, or they more likely they probably lost to Nadu. We're gonna lose this race though. It's very odd. Why would they do that? Okay, very odd. For the record, I would not have blocked if I'm in their position. I don't know what there's in their hand, but I don't think anything would have caused me to block there. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're dead anyways. But okay. We're dead. We're damned if we do, damned if we don't, right? Because the Emrakul is gonna annihilate our board. We give them Atraxa, but you know that's a funny interaction with the Emrakul. We're gonna try to see more of their deck here. Actually, I mean, it's not gonna matter. Like, I don't think we can win without seeing our Force of Vigor. And they just got Cunning Wish, so we're probably just straight up dead now. They're gonna wish for shared summons, and the end of that. All right. Do we want to change anything based on what we just saw? I don't think so. Like we actually have natural defense for the Uro, which is funny, but the curse totem was, a hell of a card there. Now, actually, now that I think about it, Agris is pretty decent too, but it's slow in that kind of matchup. Shadowspear, I honestly don't think. I think we're okay with the way we board it. Like sometimes your opponent draws their very narrow sideboard card. I feel like we can do better. I want to see like Force of Vigor Thoughtseize. There's Force of Vigor. If we had Haywire, I would consider the Wild Reliquary. Do we just vomit our hand here? I feel like we do, and like we don't respect that they can kill us this turn. We can hardcast Force if need be. Um, do we care about the damage? Probably not. Like maybe I think we just want to spend the mana on the Keynight in case it's relevant later on. And just be mana efficient, right? Threaten the 7/7 at any point. Sure. Kind of shaky sequencing from our opponent here. I think if I'm them, I'm not playing that island first before the brainstorm, right? Like in case you draw a fetch, you still have the option. You know we're not gonna like do anything about it. I think here because we have the once in our graveyard, I think we eat the brainstorm in case like shuffle effects or something happens. We're missing a creature to turn on the Kenai. View sideboard. Thank you for the raid, Hot Spring Games. Appreciate it. Here, the Saga, ironically enough, would be helpful for the Kenai, but if I spend 2 mana here, I can still leave up mana for the Kenai later on. Here, I can get the Lair. Ooh, actually, do I want to get the Wasteland? Maybe. Yeah, let's get the Wasteland. If they show and tell here, we're just probably screwed anyways. This might force them to go for it here. I don't know. We haven't done anything yet to disrupt them. I think we cut them off the tomb, right? Might as well eat them all. At least it doesn't hurt. The irony is we got layer. How much is that right now? 3, 6, 7, 8. It's not enough, I guess. Actually, I should not have done that in case they put in omniscience and Emrakul. What the hell is going on? Okay. I'm thoroughly confused. Like they could just cast that normally. Oh, freak! I clicked on the wrong one. Close to it. Oh my god, I clicked on the wrong one. Actually, it might be okay because I have the correct mana still. So this one is now it's the 7/7. I guess all is fair. Hmm. How much mana is this? I think we just like all out attack, right? There's like really no reason not to. They have to like answer the keen eye. That's 10. Okay, they misclick the win because that make I mean that makes sense. But it doesn't make any sense. Like we kind of suspected that might be the case because like they could just hard cast Euro normally. We'll take it, I guess. I'm gonna use the restroom button and be right back. Here's the list. I think if show and tell, especially omniscience, were more popular, I would play more discard spells. But they don't have a great reanimator matchup, so I don't feel the need. I need to respect that deck at the moment. But you can never. My opponent is often on reanimator, and I think because of that, let's just play it safe. Just let's hedge a little bit. I'm gonna go with turn one reclaimer, but off the basic. So they're all in, right? Like they either kill me now or they're locked, and they kill me through endurance. Ah, sewers, interesting. So here we're fortunate to have reclaimer and be on the play with endurance backup. Sure. No need to do anything here. If they want to reanimate our Kina, I'd be my guess. Sure. Slowly develop our board. Get that Kina in play, and it's probably game. Actually, that was a mistake by me. I should have just played the Kina off the Cradle, and then what is it called? And then attack with a reclaimer and leave one mana up. So that was a mistake of mine. Then I have a faster clock too. So that was a mistake. I didn't think about it because I'm so used to just reclaimer just holding up mana. So that was a misplay on my behalf. The benefit is I can hard cast endurance if need be, but sure, I'll probably take the Keen out here. Happy you dodged me. That's good. I barely started for what it's worth, but I'm glad to hear that. Spring games. There's no need for me to do anything. They had like that shallow grave nonsense, so I'm not gonna like. I don't. I think I only lose here if no need to do anything. I think the game is already over. They have to hard cast Crystal Brown or whatever at this point. Ah, gotcha. Makes sense. We're not gonna tap out. So our opponent, unless you're casting Gristlebrand, it's over. Dark Ritual, Gristlebrand, Gristlebrand, Shallow Grave. Okay. So they were 1 mana short. Now you're gonna be 3 mana short. All right. This matchup is just a lot of it's determined by the mulligans. So card rotation is good. What are we cutting here? I don't think I really want to cut. Safekeeper's probably bad. And then one more cut. I gotta look. I don't remember how I boarded this matchup. Oh, Grist is out. That's interesting. Makes well they have show and tell, so that would be reason to keep the Grist in. I can see cutting a noble. Like all the other stuff's like is like quite good, and I don't think I want wasteland. Like I'm I don't think I'm trying to wasteland them out of the game. I think this is fine. It's got protection, but it's a little awkward. Too many lands. I think we keep though. Like 6 is probably not better than this. You assume your once is gonna hit, and you have turn 0 hate. They probably boarded. They boarded in show and tell. Well, that means our endurance is. We know what we're gonna hit now. We're gonna put them on a 0 turn clock here, or 1 turn clock. If that's show and tell, so be it. That's life. We're not gonna mold a Thoughtseize. If they had the show and tell, they would have played it already. So they don't have that, unless they're missing like the creature or something. Don't tell me they're gonna agent me here. Let's see. Thank goodness. All right, we'll pass. Sure. They probably have shallow grave. We lose to double shallow grave here. Um, and they entomb end step. They're probably trying to get us. There's really no need, I feel. Yeah, there's no need. Hmm. Like I said, if they just happen to have two shallow graves, we lose for no reason. And pretty soon we're gonna have a hard lock with Gristlebrand, so or clock. So there's no reason to just tap out. They can feel the pressure too. Like we're getting to mana of like very high proportions now. Let's just make sure we have another Bayou in the deck. Yeah, we do. Ooh, that is an incredible draw. They'll be like, "What in the world is going on?" Right. Gotta be in a dark ritual into another entomb, a third entomb, and we're just gonna do this now. That should be game now. Yeah, like I said, you get sloppy there, you lose for no reason, right? Like we're like in full command. There's no reason to walk into the double shallow grave, and now they're just dead. Sure. We just have all the outs, all of the outs. So we know one card in their hands, Gristlebrand, so they can't kill us here. Just eat the sorcery now. Oh, we're just gonna rip apart their hand. We might as well just take the Gristlebrand, right? Like, so they can't put it in show and tell. Ooh, I missed. That was a mistake. I should have attacked with more, but that's okay. Actually, cancel. Once upon a time. Yeah, we could have got more damage. It's not, I'm not playing super optimally, but we're in like super command. So, all right, I think we played very well in that match. There, minus the small misplay at the end. Um, Pretty much like got ahead on board and then like dared my opponent to like beat through our grip of disruption. Like you resolve a turn one reclaimer just so far ahead, just like sit there and they cannot win without like five different cards in their hand. Right, you just sit back on the reclaimer plus developing your board, and they're probably drawing to a hard cast Gristlebrand, which possible but not easy to do. And then we even had like just for the final blow, so to speak, right? The grist to put in the show the stronghold gambit to, which I think is not very good against us personally. But maybe they just don't have any other choices, right? I don't think Stronghold Gambit is particularly good against the deck of all one drops. Especially since my opponent has already seen that game one, that I'm playing quite defensively. Like I'm not tapping out if I don't need to. So there's a good chance I'm gonna have like a random one drop that's like endurance pitch or whatnot to put in. Ugh, we're playing in the 1-3 bracket. That's kind of scary. I think we keep, but it's not ideal. Of course, it's this deck. That's interesting. They're gonna take the Green Sun. Jesus, I kind of feel like this is the correct play, and we dig for endurance. Um, it's got to be Noble then. They take the Green Sun. That's fine. Like I think they're on Oops and like a bad version of it too. Problem is, we did not see the endurance there. We're 2-0, and then we're in the 1-3 bracket. It's kind of tilting. Ooh, what is going on? What is going on? People have random. What is always going on here? Menace lifelink. It's a 3-3 ward. What is going on? Hmm. Four mana up. I feel like. Why do we feel like we're gonna get op agent here? What is going on? We didn't even know what our opponent did. What the heck is going on? It's turn 4 and we haven't learned anything about our opponent's deck. Okay. Probably some kind of weird reanimator. Like that's the only reason why I think they would play that creature there. Um, I don't know what our opponent's doing. War is or ephemerate deck maybe. I could like that's a possibility too. Uh, that's is that a black creature? I don't even know. I think it is, but like Snuff Out's probably bad then. Uh, Keen probably like Snuff. Thoughtseize is probably okay. Yeah, if I were to guess now, they're probably some kind of like weird ephemerate black white deck. Snuff Out's probably dangerous. It's good against Solitude, but pretty much nothing else. I feel like this matchup is probably gonna be grindy. Endurance probably not. Like it can stop like the reanimate lines, but I think I'm playing towards that, and we're pitching a card anyways. Like I'm. I want Saga package for Shadowspear. They didn't show us much for what it's worth. Maybe we just like maybe we just like keep in just the normal cards and hope our deck is just better than theirs, right? Like and not get cute. Crop rot, probably not to be honest. The problem is we just like did not see anything. I think we keep just off the back of Thoughtseize, but this is kind of weak. They had duress. What is going on? Um, I feel like this is gonna be a fair game, so I'm gonna ramp. They swords me. I think I'm okay with that. Sure. They waste me is kind of bad though, but we can't play around waste anyway. Given that we drew three black cards. Uh oh, Shieldred. That's interesting. Okay. What the hell is going on? What the heck is going on? Like they would have been better off just like not putting. Well, yeah, actually, I don't know. I feel like they might have been better off just like not doing that. Let's do this and see what they have. Yep, I'm glad I checked. Our hand is pretty stacked for what it's worth. It's pretty annoying. I must say that is pretty annoying. Is 2 damage gonna make the difference? I feel like probably not. So, sorry, one is what I mean. Think I care yet. We're gonna go to 8. At some point, we're gonna care, but not yet. They did take our removal spell, which is awkward, but like I said, we don't care yet. We eventually will, but not yet. Hmm. That's actually a pretty good draw. Because we can put the grist back in and then finally get rid of this nonsense. First things first, we're gonna hit the Sorin and see what happens. Bowmasters? Uh, that's kind of annoying. That is annoying for sure. Okay. Yeah, I like. I didn't think about that, but for sure, I was trying to leave up the reclaimer, but I guess like if my play is to endurance the grist anyways, then yeah, that would be the correct play. But now I just got like screwed myself. That is annoying for sure. Yeah, that's a good catch, Mots. I was gonna point it out. Like maybe I should have attacked, but severely punished there. I don't even know what those blood tokens do. So awkward. I would like lose my whole board right now if I do this. Discard and draw. It's, shoot. I feel like we just take now. Oh, that's fair. So chump and sack. Hold on. If I get Cradle, that's 4 plus 7 mana. No, I think we have to eat and go to 1. Jesus. We're living in dangerous territory here because of my misplay. Now, question here is I can't even play the ignoble here. Well, I guess I could and save the mana. Because we need yeah, we're just exactly short. All right. Well, it is what it is. No, I don't think so. They're hellbent. We just have to dodge Bowmasters. Which is probably pretty high chance they have in their deck. Potentially, yeah, severely punished for that misplay. Wow. Okay, they must not have Bowmasters. Very odd because they conceded to. We're at one, right? Like that's they have at least I think like 3 turns. Like our clock is we get layer, but they're at 30, so they must not have in their deck. All right, we're gonna use the restroom. I forgot you get the mana back on play endurance, so chump plus sacking would have been enough. What do you mean by that? Second with what? Endurance? I mean, with white, it was sick though. Let me get water while this is loading. Oh, unless you're talking about like reclaimer, sacking the arbor. That would make sense actually. Getting old. right back. All right, with any luck, these next two matches will be relatively quick. All right, while this is loading, anybody have any questions for the list? I guess we can talk a little bit about how I built it. Oops, never mind. Yorion. We're probably playing some D&T nonsense. Although, if this is D&T, I don't want endurance. Um, no black mana. Uh, KEC is not particularly great against if they're on Yorion. I don't want uncastables though. Maybe we get lucky and they are not D&T. Ugh, looks like they are. This is not good for us. This is not good for us. This matchup is very difficult without natural order. That is a hell of a draw, though. Our opponent just got punished for not using their swords. Is your deck what? Uh, you think so for Gris? I feel like it's easily answered by their deck mods. They're probably gonna. No, they're not. I'm tempted to just like pitch endurance here and sack it to the to white, but maybe we don't need to do that. No, I didn't update the list. Side of Norna. They removal spell to endurance. The endurance is dead. I don't think we need to do it yet. Then another good draw, or that draw's okay. If they bowmasters here, I guess it doesn't matter. Do we care? I guess we just play everything. I don't remember. I didn't have time. I was like in a rush. I think we just like protect it. Safekeeper is obscene against DNT. It's completely obscene. Don't think we care. I'm gonna layer them pretty soon for like a million. They want to phase out the Stoneforge they can. Um, we the curator's not turned on yet. But I don't not sure we care. So if we spend 2 mana here, that's 6. It'll be 4, 3, 3 if we don't do it the other way. They have to block this, and if they don't, you need a 4/4. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying this is 6 mana. It'll be a 3/3. If they block the two biggest ones, that's 3, 6, 6. I still count 9 for what it's worth. If I attack with a safekeeper, but maybe that's not. Maybe that's greedy. Yeah, that's fair. Mats is always better than I am at combat math, so they can technically swords their own thing, but like maybe that doesn't matter. I guess in this case we would swords out. We would phase out the Felia, right? Because they can bounce it, and then they're forced to chump the Stoneforge. Chump one. That's still a lot of damage. You're probably right. Like for what it's worth, I'm always gonna defer to Moth when it comes to combat. Like he's played, probably like 100x limited matches, probably more than that to be honest, than me. So I'm, much improved than before, but still very, elementary when it comes to combat math. So, like I said, I'm just gonna defer to mods. And winning game one against DNC feels good, given no natural, right? Like it's a little hard to kind of weasel our way through a win there, but we did. All right, post board. I think I like the Shadowspear because we have to like get through their chump blocks. Saga comes in, Bog comes out. How much more room do we have? I think I like C's like They're like really a control deck, not really a value deck. The way like Fila is like the only snuff out target, I think. And then we were very fortunate to draw the Shadowspear there. Not Shadowspear, sorry. The Sylvan Savior, which is like obscene in this matchup. Needle, probably not. I think maybe some snuff out is like reasonable. What else do we need here? Collector Oof. Why no NO and attracts spell? I don't know if it's necessary. It's like kind of bad in this current metagame. Maybe three snuff out. I don't think Collector Oof's like kind of converting for what it's worth. Okay, is there anything else I don't really like? I don't really like Kenai, but it's probably a necessary evil. I'll admit that. And 4-3 this way because, like I said, I don't think there's many snuff out targets. They're like really, as far as legacy is concerned, kind of control deck. I think in hindsight, the way it played out, Mats, I'm pretty happy with the getting the wild reliquary there. I think it was kind of a slam dunk after we drew the safekeeper. Is my read on it. Like the combo in this deck is really wild reliquary protected by Sylvan Safekeeper, right? Even though there's only one. We used to play like depending on the build, anywhere from like 1 to 3. Ugh, drawing this is just hideous. My goodness. I think we keep begrudgingly. Maybe this is the mole. I don't know. The punish here is that we draw white. The punish here is we draw white. And we can't go seize into white in the same turn. So they seize, they swords. I don't think we give a F about Lion Sash. Like, who cares, right? Skyclave's. Thanks, Mots. I have fun at work. Always appreciate you coming by. For those who don't know, I consider Mots the premier player of this deck. Uh, yeah, I think we have no choice but to take the Cauldron Complete. Um, they have like a gazillion removal spells. Jesus. I don't think we like allow them to Skyclave here. Hey Levi, how's it going? Actually, I should have played the sea. That was a mistake. I should have tried to blank their seas, right? Like that was a misplay. I'm supposed to play the Shadow Sphere because then the seas takes a high arc, and then we don't care, right? But then something's going on here. They probably have Philia because otherwise it doesn't make sense their play. Yeah, they probably have Philia. Otherwise, their blind doesn't make any sense. Or Containment Priest. That would be the other reason. In case, in which case we should have played our fetch right now. Actually, that's a mistake. I'm catching all these mistakes right now. I think more likely they drew Ophelia. Kind of swords the higher. Sure. The problem is they have a gazillion removal spells, and we do not have natural to punish it. I think we're probably gonna lose this game too. Like I said, this matchup is very difficult without natural order. Sure. Possible we're supposed to mold that hand, but I think it was reasonable enough. And I don't know we're being like, three removal spells anyways. Question is how do we win here? Hope your summon is going well, by the way, Levi. I think we have to draw either Green Sun or Safekeeper and then draw a secondary threat. We're probably just hosed, to be honest. Ugh. We're probably just hosed. On second thought, earlier I mentioned like, yeah, this kind of deck is gonna be hard for us to beat without natural order. Oh, nice! You're doing your masters. Has it been that long already? I guess I did. First we first started collaborating in 2020, so I guess it does make sense. It has been 5 years. Wow, time flies. We'll just let that through. There's nothing we can do about that. But yeah, congratulations on that. If I don't get a chance to, you know, shout you out or talk to you, but congratulations on finishing your masters. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear it. Yeah, I remember. I think you were in high school in 2020 when we first started collaborating. For those who don't know, uh, Levi's one of, I would say, the quickest learners of this Cradle deck. Not this iteration because he's in school, but um, just gameplay. He picked it up one of the quickest, I think. And we worked on the what's it called? The Reclaimer, green white Reclaimer modern deck from years ago before they banned Field of the Dead. So that's he and I are claim to fame, right? We got Field of the Dead. We were partially responsible for getting Field of the Dead banned. All right, we're probably hosed. What is going on? They still have mana open. Probably Phantom Blaze coming down. So we're just like, what do they get? That would be nice. I think this version is actually pretty strong. Why the Reliquary, I think, is I'm biased, is like no lower than I think top three creature in Legacy. No lower than top three. And three is probably being very conservative. And I think there's an argument it's one. Of course, it competes with the other Modern Horizons three cards, right? It kind of is. You untap with it, it's probably game. Like I was on Andrea Mangucci's podcast, and
his words, not mine, but he said it's pretty much like Psychic Frog, right? You untap with it, it's probably over. Now, not always. Like obviously, you can still get comboed out, but I'm just saying, in any fair matchup, it's just a nightmare to deal with. All right. Speaking of fair matchup, we're just getting grounded out to the ground right now. I don't think there's anything we can do really. This I might just be like wasting time. I think we're just like too far behind right now. Yeah. Like without natural order as a comeback mechanism, it's oops. I need to fit thin here, but I don't think it matters. It's like a ETB Doomblade, or I guess I don't know what is a destroy target creature like. I guess terminate comes to mind, but we're probably just dead. They have Caracas up to protect Ophelia, so it's like really we're just dead. I would love for them to draw other cages against us. The deck that doesn't have the natural orders, and they still have a swords in their hand and a Thoughtseize that they cannot cast. I wonder if they're just like a super greedy mana base. Like, all right, now we're just let's concede. No more wasting time. I apologize, chat. I know we probably should have conceded that way earlier. We're just like so far behind. All right. Do I want to change anything based on what I saw? Like, I guess maybe snuff out and try to high roll them. That's like maybe the only thing I think of. This seemed quite bad there, but it's meant to be tutored too. Like for to be fair. Am I trying to cut lands in this matchup? Maybe. We cut a bog already for what it's worth. Like this, maybe it matters. Like maybe we just want all the threats we can get. So maybe just cut a hierarch and keep the keen eye. Nope, cannot keep this. We put the once upon a time back and pray the other one hits a dork because this hand is like very awkward. There's the dork, but I think here we're priced into playing into snuff out. We need all our um we need all of our cards live because we're down a card already in a matchup that is just like gonna be stressed for threats. Ugh, they're gonna take our Gris. They are gonna take our Gris. Or not. I guess I think that. Maybe they have an answer for this. Are they gonna solitude the hierarch maybe? We gotta, Thank goodness. All right, we got to untap with Grist. Wow, I thought for sure that was not going to happen, but here we are. So we have a chance because we have two. We start with two threats, right? And we just like need to avoid drawing Keen Eye until later in the game. Actually, right now it'd be actually be okay, right? Because they drew their snuff out. Flute. Oh my god, that's why they did that. Fair. That's why they did that. What have they seen? Doesn't matter, I guess. I'm playing the footed anyways. So they know our hand. Bowmasters. Sure. Maybe they get Phantom Blade. I mean, not Phantom, the remit formal wear because they know we have the snuff out. Lion Sash. I think we just ignore that then. Sure. Very awkward. The punish is if they have the what does it call it? The 7-drop Cauldra in their hand. But I think we just save the snuff out. That is annoying. What are they gonna get here? It cannot be good for us. Well, it would have to be something that plays around snuff out. That much we know. Maybe it's like a solitude or something. I don't know. Like there's that, I guess. Great. And they have the Caracas too. Definitely awkward. Oh, what do I would do for a threat right now? We just gotta take it. That is actually not bad. Well, actually, it could. It actually is not great. We know they have a Lion Sash in hand. I think we have the double block with the Arbor. Feels bad, but necessary. If they drew removal, so be it. Ugh. Jesus. Well, that's a problem. Because they can get Cauldron now. Oh my god. Sure. If I kill the Stoneforge, you still have the other one. So that's not good. Oh, we're in trouble now. God, they're playing Opposition Agent too? Huh. That certainly changed some things. We know they have a Lion Sash. And we know that they have a pre-form aware and opposition agent. Oh, did they just not realize this? I can do that. I think they forgot. And we can need all the help we can get. So they have an opposition agent and a Lion Sash left. I'm not sure it's worth it here to. Maybe it is. Stoneforge get them both in the graveyard. What other targets they could possibly have? I guess they can top deck Ophelia. The equip is 3. I think that. I think we kill the recruiter. Um, is there use in? I guess I have to hit Thoughtseize and Once Upon a Time, so I'll just float the mana. We know what's in their hand. It's Actually, I messed up. I could have made another dork, and it's like, no, actually that's not true. I still need 2 mana. For a second, I thought I can like eat the thing. I think they have to block all, unless they don't realize we have lethal. Guess they don't realize that. Wow. Yikes. I don't think. Wow. Okay. We beat a lot of hate, but I don't think our opponent played, the best. Okay. We are. We got through a very difficult matchup there. It at least ignoring the misplays on our opponent's behalf. At least the cards did what they were supposed to, namely, the saga potentially turning on the keen eye and so on and so forth. Okay, we are gonna play for the 5-0, but we gotta get some more water. Keep the ritual right. All right, one more for all the marbles, as they say. List has felt good so far. Very strange profile the last two matches though. Well, I guess DNT is pretty reasonable. And then we beat Reanimator and Omni-Tell. I would say Omni-Tell were not favored. Lucky to win there. Reanimator, I think, against the Rakdos version, is probably pretty close. If we get turn one Reclaimer and have endurance backup like we did games, like both games, it's easier. But we can't beat their nut draws. Uh, Round three was just a very off the wall deck. Just not even count that, I guess. Round four, I would say there was an asterisk. Like our opponent misplayed. When playing the formalware that gave us tempo increase. We had the answer to formalware anyways, but they were fell behind on tempo there, and that probably put them under more pressure than what would have been otherwise the case. So I guess an asterisk on that one. Also an asterisk on the first match too, for what it's worth, because our opponent misclicked the third game. That said, um, hey Wizard Pasta. To me, I think the longer the game goes, the more it favors the Cradle deck. So I think the if it were me, I'm more afraid of just getting cheesed out by like Entomb. I think if you try to play fair against the deck, you're probably not gonna be favored. That's my personal opinion. Wizard Pasta. Hopefully that answers that question. Like to me, the scariest card is Entomb. And if you're trying to beat me with Bargoyfs, I think I can deal with that. Or I think that version doesn't even play Bargoyfs. I think they're playing something else like Murktide Region. I can deal with those kind of threats personally. I think the more all in a deck is, the harder this deck has a harder time because the strength of this deck is consistency. So you want to be high variance, like if that makes sense, to beat this deck. Like something like an oops all spells, I'm like very afraid of. What else? Like before Belcher, these kind of like all in, like it doesn't matter that my deck is consistent when they can just turn one me. You try to play fair against this deck, I don't think like outside of like a D&T, because we don't have natural order, like at least in tonight. I got my trophy match got by Cradle today, and I started out all the creatures while on G. So needed the confirmation. Like I said, I think the matchup is probably, slightly in the Cradle favors advantage, but I think the more fair you play, the more you will be disadvantaged. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I think the deck is built to beat Reanimator, so take that for whatever it's worth. So you're probably gonna be, slightly disadvantaged regardless, but I think your best chance is trying to cheese. But again, that's my personal spin. I think the other thing that is awkward is I think a lot of less experienced Cradle players you may beat with a fair plan, but I think a lot of that has to do with you probably outplaying your Cradle opponent. So there's that dynamic too. So if you think your opponent is not like may misplay, for instance, against you, then like I guess on average that might work out. But I think against a better Cradle player, you're better off trying to cheese. But that's me. And that's not just for Reanimator. I think that's just in general. Like the cheesier the deck can be, the harder the matchup I find. Um, I feel like this player always plays DNT, and this hand would be bad into DNT. No, I think that card's win more. I'll keep in the dark. Just we'll see. Like this is a learning stream. If I'm bad into Maverick here, then so be it. Ooh, Bloodstain Mire. It's a scary land. Do I want to play safe or do I want to play aggressive? I think given that we have a bunch of lands here, I'm gonna play aggressive and hope they bolt me. And then if they want to waste my body, I don't think I care. I have a Cradle backup. Taiga. What is going on? Sure. They bolt here. If they waste me here, I don't think I care. What in the world is going on? This is Innistrad standard all over again. What in the world is going on here? Do I seize here? Like our opponent could have anything, so probably should. 2 chain of smogs. We're just effed. if they top deck it. Children's Edict. Um, could be annoying. I feel like we just take the threat, right? Like we actually care about. Well, we could, I guess. I guess if they edict us, it's just we don't care, right? Do we care? I guess the question is, do we care? I guess we care a little. Now I think we get yeah, unfortunately. Uh, okay. I think the line here is definitely that, and probably the Cradle. Or do we take the other one? They're gonna waste us. So that's a guarantee already. I think we give them the keen eye. Well, actually, yeah, we'll give them the Cradle. That's fine. No. Actually, they're gonna smog us again. So probably should have just kept the land. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Especially since, yeah. Oh my god, I'm kicking myself now because we know they have the edict. They smog us here, then we take their edict. So maybe that's okay. I think we let that go. I screwed up big time. If I kept the Cradle, I would be pretty ahead here. we let that go. Mm, sure. Wow, that was an incredible draw. I thought about it. It might have been correct, but it's okay. I think we're gonna win this race. They have bolt left, so we gotta be careful. If we draw any threat here, I think we probably win. Are they playing a Hogak? Are you kidding me? The mistake that if we lose here that cost us was we should have been the endurance the Kina and kept the land. And that like tilted the game. Probably should have held the fetch here too. Or the what are they getting that they're paying for? I'm kind of scared. Sure. What's a green sun for one here? So they're at two. They can make it a 4-4. I think we put them on a 1 turn clock. And we chump if need be. Oh, that changes the math. Uh, they're at 3. Actually, they just lost the game. We deal them exactly 8. Oh, this is insurance too. I think they forgot this has trample. Okay, that was way closer than it needed to be because we punted earlier, but I'm glad we got through it. All right, we can take all this. We have so many bad cards here that we can just take out. Raccoon is incredible. We can put these nasty, nasty things in the deck. It doesn't stop the Witherbloom combo, but it like stops everything else that they have. Bog. I don't think we saw any kind of like graveyard recursion. Spear is interesting. Like I think the scariest thing is is they like high roll us, high variance us with the combo, which is why I kind of like C's. Also, we just don't have enough good cards in this matchup. Um, I don't know if Spear is worth it. It's not like they have a whole bunch of chunk blocks. Like it's not like like they're playing energy or whatever, or like some of these other kind of decks. Crop. Hey Dukes, how's it going? Actually, crop rotation could be pretty good here, and here's why. If they go for the smog combo and we have crop rotation, we just like phase out their thing. That could be relevant. And C's I don't love. I can see something like this. I can also see like what creatures did they have? Hex Drinker and like nothing else. I feel a collector. Ooh, just yeah. Maybe Snuff Out just not cutting it. We're playing for the 5-0 right now, Dukes. For what it's worth. Uh, let's do it like this. This might be better. Yeah, maybe just three Snuff Outs, just like to hit their dorks. Ugh. I don't think we can keep a 5 land hand. This is more reasonable. Keep. I think we can put the situational card back. Possible it should be Cradle that's going back for what it's worth. Okay, they're taking our threat. So we put the Snuff Out back, and they went with turn 1 Dork. They probably don't have anything relevant. Thank you for the raid, HC Fox. They took the C's. So they probably have the Smog combo if they took C's. Classic C's take C's, right? Dismember? No, that. Sure. Highly possible I'm supposed to play Cradle there. But I'm like tempted to just like tick down the arbor right now. Two mana up. What could it be? Oop. I'm supposed to. Oh my god! Don't veil me. That is a possibility. Actually, let's do this. And we'll do it on upkeep. Okay. I didn't expect to see that. Sure. I didn't want to play into Veil in case like there was just shenanigans there. Mm, I think I'm gonna start attacking. What am I afraid of? I don't think much. I thought about getting the lair. The problem is I didn't want to cut myself off black. That was about only Bayou left, and I didn't have the Boggin, so that was my logic there. And I felt like I would had my opponent under a lot of pressure already. All right, we got the 5-0. Pretty nice. Here's the list. Shadowspear did not do anything. But you know, I will say this 5-0 comes with an asterisk though. Like let's be real. The first round, our opponent misclicked. Um, in game three with the show and tell. It makes no sense otherwise why they would show and tell in an Earl. And to be fair, our opponent game three here against D&D probably could have played better. So there's definitely a little scuffed, but that said, I think the main deck felt pretty good. I like, I like that. I definitely like KC a lot, the curator, because it's not perfect. Like it's a little bit hard to turn on pseudo delirium against DNT and some of these creature decks that don't play. The hard part is getting the sorcery in the yard. Like instant creature and land is fairly easy. Yeah, there isn't root. Like I said, there isn't. It's fairly easy to get creature, land, and instant exile in the creature matches, but the sorcery part is kind of hard because usually some of these creature mirrors they don't have sorceries, so that's why I kind of have to board in a saga and let it die so that the KC can be consistently turned on. The grist mill helps a little bit, but for the most part we keep it in the thought seizes too. But again, it's the four card type is kind of hard. But that's it. Outside the creature matchups, it's like an all star. It's like insane against Delver, solid against control, insane against the graveyard decks. really good against the artifact decks because it's so easy to turn on Delirium, or pseudo Delirium, I guess. What else? I think the sideboard we didn't really get to exercise the Shadowspear today, but I think I for sure like the rest of the cards, like the crop rotation for the Wasteland, so we don't accidentally lose to Merit Lage. Um, I think 3 Thoughtseize in the main has felt good. Like you don't really want to draw 2 and they turn 1 Tameo. That's kind of bad, right? Like um, Snuff Out, obviously your All Star against the creature combo matchups. Crowd Rotation, like I said, good for Wasteland. Ironically enough, good there against the Witherbloom deck too. Like you can play aggressively or defensively, like with Talon Gates. Anybody have any questions for me? This felt good. It's too bad we didn't get to really test the Shadow Spear. Like not the right matchups. I guess D&T we lost that game, so take that for whatever it's worth. But we did lose the game where we drew the Shadow Spear. All right, here are my socials again. But yeah, this was a fun one tonight for sure. Anybody have any questions for me before I raid some people? Okay, what's the board strat versus UR tempo, and how does it change versus Reanimator? Good question. I think against Reanimator, what I like to do now is just play aggressively with tempo. So I obviously the collective comes out, but I think there's I think I don't want to fall behind against like Tameo for instance, and make sure I win the fair like games against them. So I board out one collective and one Thoughtseize and board in the crop rotation. Now, if I think my opponent is like all in on the combo per se, I may like keep in a Thoughtseize. I may keep in more Thoughtseize. It really depends by feel, but it's fluid. Like for sure, one oof comes out, and some number of the last 2 slots are between Thoughtseize and crop rotation. I don't think Wasteland is worth it. Like more often than not, you're like if the game goes long, Wasteland is relevant. Like I think you're probably gonna win anyways. So I think crop rotation being modal is why I give it the slight edge over Thoughtseize. But again, it depends how you feel your opponent's gonna play. But in the dark, I'd probably go like 2 Thoughtseize, 2 crop rotation, or like 3 Thoughtseize, 1 crop rotation. Like probably for sure at least 2 Thoughtseize, but maybe even 3. I don't like 4 for the reasons I stated. Like they go turn 1 Tameo and suddenly you're like way behind. Against blue red, I take all the thought seizes out and the collector oof out and board in all the snuff outs. Now, snuff out is not perfect against them because they have cutter now. It used to be insane and still is. Like it's good against their DRC draws. It's good against Murktide Regent. It's good against like a Tameo. Um, and in the last slot, I don't actually like Grist against them. Because like I don't want to tick down against a DRC. That sounds ridiculous. It's good against Murktide. I don't think that's worth it. I would board out Grist. And the other reason why is I'm already hesitant with 4 3 drops. I don't want a fifth one. The other thing I like doing here is I just board in the Shadow Spear. Now, do we want a naked Shadow Spear without Saga against blue red? I think the easiest way for Tempo to like steal games against us is to tempo us out. I don't think you have time to Saga for Spear, but I think drawing Spear naturally might turn games. So I might not even like board in the Saga against them. So it's just like 3 Thoughtseize out, Oof out, and Grist out, 4 Snuff outs, and Spear. Now, there's an argument to be made with their new configuration. Maybe you only need 3 Snuff outs, and then you could board in Saga as like a 23rd land. That's probably okay too. So I lean, plus minus 1 card there. Good question. Uh, so I get this question a lot from players who are not familiar with this deck. I think Bowmaster is not very good personally. Like not even in this deck, but just not in general. Like I think way too many non-blue decks play a card that is way too situational in my opinion. Like, and shout out to Mott who was on here earlier. He was the first one that said like he doesn't think Bowmaster is like, this is dating back to the Fiend Artisan days. He does not think Bowmasters is good. Like period. Forget in this deck. Oh, sorry, in this deck. And I agree with him because it's only good against tempo, in my opinion, and you like smash tempo already. And so, what is it really good against? It's too slow against combo. You don't need to be control. You smash Delver. Like I don't think it does anything for us, and it's in the wrong color too. Like it makes your mana base more stressed because you have to fetch for black card value more often, right? Or when you don't want to. Yeah, like I just don't think it adds anything. Like you have plenty of fodder because the best thing you can do, in my opinion, in green is turn one dork. Like that's why I'm playing the full set of hierarchs. If there was if they complete the cycle, I would play more than 8. Like I just think green's main advantage is turn one dork. You're just so far ahead. Like that's why Death Ride Shaman is banned, right? Like partially. And you have 12 turn one plays. Like you go turn one dork, you're just so far ahead on tempo. It doesn't really matter if your opponent led with turn one Tamio. You're just going toe to toe with turn one Tamio, like in terms of tempo, and probably ahead because they have to spend mana now to draw cards, and you don't. Like you go turn one Tamio, sorry, you go turn one dork, turn two white plus, let's just say Cradle into Green Sun for saving Sylvan Safekeeper, or you draw it naturally. The game's over on the spot. Like literally, if you unless you're getting comboed out, the game is over on the spot. Like that's how good Wild Reliquary is, in my opinion. And to me, I don't want to dilute, the green density for a card that I don't think really adds anything because that's why we're playing, 12 turn one dorks, right? Like you have plenty of fodder. You don't need to play a card that is, in my opinion, very mediocre in this deck that is off color too. And the other thing is Keen Eye Curator does what you want Bowmasters to do against some of these blue decks, but way better because you have big game against Reanimator and Oops and some of these graveyard strategies. Not to mention it's on color, right? And Trample. So the other thing about Bowmasters is actually not a good closer either, right? Like it's not a good disruption spell creature, and it's also not a good like beat stick, so to speak, right? Like Keen Eye smashes hard, like for 7, and Bowmaster's not really a threat in my opinion. So that's kind of my 2 cents, like on it. I know some people think like I'm crazy or we're crazy for not playing Bowmaster. I just, like I said, I don't think it's very good, and for those are the reasons. It's off color, and even if it was on color, like it doesn't really, in my opinion, add anything. Like you already beat those decks anyways, or should. Uh, and it doesn't hit very hard. Like Kenai hits hard. Just like I don't think Cub is a perfect card. That's why I cut it. But at least Cub hits hard. Like Cub doesn't play defense. Is my issue with Cub. Like it's only when you're ahead, which is why I kind of say that card is kind of win more. But and why I've kind of switched to Kenai, right? Like I like cards that are modal, can play when you're behind, can play when you're ahead. I think it's about playing the most standalone good cards, and I think Keenine is a good standalone card. I think Cub needs some help, and the argument that Cub is really good with Wild Reliquary and Reclaimer. Now that's true, but really, it's only good with Reclaimer because if you untap with White, the game is already over. Like in my eyes, like your fair opponent did not force White. The game is over. Like they don't have removal unless they top decked it on the spot there, but like I said, I think the game is already over if you untap with White. Mark, any other questions, Dukes? Hopefully that answered your question. I didn't mean to get too passionate, so to speak, about it, but it is a question that like gets asked a lot, and yeah, I just don't think it's very good personally. Um, I think if I could, I would play more one drops. Like I think the power level of this deck is dictated by Guy's Cradle, and I just want to be able to go turn one dork, turn two double or triple spell, and your opponent is just like way behind on tempo. Like this is the green Ancient Tomb, and I personally think Ancient Tomb is the best card in Legacy. So take that for what you will, right? I think Ancient Tomb is one, and Cradle is like a top 5 card, only because the deck building restrictions are so much higher. I think people get too caught up with hearing about it and then thinking it fits in all the creature decks with access to black. Yes, the thing is, this is not really a black deck if you look at it. It's a green deck with a light splash. And forget black for a second. If Bowmasters was in green, I still wouldn't play it because I just don't think it adds anything. Like, I built this deck like a combo deck, even though it looks like a fair deck, but there's nothing fair about Gaia's Cradle. Is playing a Surveil land out of the question? I don't think it's out of the question. I just don't think it's good in this current legacy state. So what I mean by that is I don't think control is like playable personally. And because all the games are virtually decided by turns 2 or 3, I don't want more liabilities in my mana base. So I play the bare minimum. One Bajuka Bog, one Talon Gates. That's it. Like, you can call Lair, a utility land. The opportunity cost of Lair is significantly not as bad as the other two because it taps for green, uh, and it comes in untapped. So the other thing is, can I go down to one Arbor? The problem with that is, I think it's too necessary with Wily the Reliquary. And the other reason why I don't think I can go to one Arbor is because I check almost all the time, and all the time there's two Arbors in my graveyard. So like, it's definitely like getting killed all the time. So that's kind of the reason why I've been on two Arbors. I'm doing the bare minimum on the mana base in terms of like, I want the strongest mana base possible because I think a lot of decks just lose to themselves. And one of the strengths of this deck is it doesn't lose to itself as often as a lot of decks and legacies. So very strong mana base, like 14 initial mana source, and even at +4 once upon a time. I just think this is the best green card in legacy by a lot. Stronger than Green Sun Zenith, and stronger than, I don't know, endurance, whatever you want to call it. I think this is the best card in legacy. I'm sorry, best green card in legacy. All right, any other questions? I know these are to some very controversial takes, but I don't think they're that controversial once you get more reps with the deck. And there's a reason why Lands is playing 4 now, and I think, for a while, I think just so many decks were not playing this deck to their detriment, and I don't, people can do whatever they want. I just think this should be an every green deck, personally. Okay, any other questions, Duke? I love the questions, by the way, and hopefully I can get you to pick up this deck. The sideboard has some customization for what's worth, but the main deck I feel very good about. They're obviously, like, depending on your metagame, there's still room for customization. Natural Order is like a package is an option, especially if like Moon Stompy or some of these ancient tomb decks are popular in your area. Um, I don't think it's good against like the current legacy metagame. Like, I don't really want to draw the Natural Order package against Tempo, which has always been the case. But it's just so good against the other matchups that you're willing to live with that before. It's good against DNT, Natural Order. But it's not particularly good against Tempo. It's not particularly good against Oops All Spells. It's not good against, what else is really popular right now? It's okay against Breakfast, but you can do better. Like, you have a lot of threats there. It's too slow against Mystic Forge. What else am I missing? Oh, Lands. It's good against Lands, but they also main deck Cage now, so that is like a double-edged sword. What do I find to be a challenging matchup right now? Good question. I think I would rather not play against Oops. It's not that it's a bad matchup per se. It's just like a lot of the strengths of this deck are neutralized from Oops because the biggest strength of this deck is very consistent, and Oops neutralizes that because it ends the game on turn 2. Like, whether they win or you win, the game is like virtually over on turn 2 often. So your consistency strength is like somewhat neutralized, right? Because like I said earlier, like these cheese decks neutralize because they're inherently more high variance. They neutralize your strength, which is your consistency. Now, the more if you play now, the opposite side of that is like, I would say energy is like the Boros energy deck is very difficult because your main deck is like poorly configured against them. Key9 is not very good. Thoughtseize is not very good, and Endurance is not very good. So that's like a hard matchup. Some of these creature combo matchups, I think game one are hard because Endurance does nothing and Kenai does nothing. Some such as like, the Cradle, like Elves deck. I think sorry the Nadu, if you want to call it Nadu Cradle deck, I think is probably difficult game one. I think post board you're pretty favored because Snuff Out's just obscene against them, and you get to bring in Saga and Needle. Creative Technique doesn't get played a lot, but that is a very difficult matchup too because again, you cannot really stop their combo. You have Wasteland, but like I don't know if one Wasteland is enough. I I have found that matchup to be hard with any version of Cradle historically. Creative Technique. What else? I think it gets played. Belcher is probably really hard. Um, some of these decks that dodge Endurance, something like a High Tide is probably very difficult. Uh, let me look. Let's bring up MTG Goldfish and just look down. I'll go down the list, I guess. All right. Here MTG. I think Demir Reanimator. You're probably a slight favorite. Is it you're a big favorite? Oops. I would say it's high variance. I would, if I had to call it, I would say you're either a slight underdog or even. Demir Temple, I would say probably slight favorite, similar to like Reanimator. It's not as good as Delver because you can't board and snuff out. Painter, I would say you're a big favorite. Keen Eye is insane against them. Moon Stompy, I would say you're probably again high variance, right? You're probably even. I would say maybe definitely a slight underdog game one because Endurance is bad, Thoughtseize is bad, and no natural order. Ford. Okay, so this one heavy underdog. I would say game one. Post board, I'd have found it to be okay. So overall, probably slight underdog. Sneak and Show, I think it's pretty even. Some people think historically because Sneak and Show is heavily favored historically. I think that matchup has changed a lot. Wide of the Reliquary is just an insane card. Lands, I think you're a big favorite. Uh, the only way you lose to lands is you get cheesed by turn two Merit Lage, in my opinion. If you play tight, you probably win. If you don't get cheesed. Breakfast, I would say slight underdog. Because game one is hard against them, in my opinion, in my experience. Slight under post board, you're probably favorite, so it's anywhere from slight underdog to even. Rug Delver, heavy favorite. Doomsday, I would say slight favorite. Like your interaction like somehow lines up kind of okay against them. Beanstalk, I would say favorite. Stifle Knot can go either way. I think this is like kind of even. Depends on the draws. Probably, unfavored game one, favored game two. DNT probably big underdog as you saw. That I had to crawl tooth and nail for the 5-0 there. So I would say probably big underdog against DNT with this current configuration. Not having natural order. All right. Hopefully that answers your questions. Let me know if you want any clarification or follow up. Storm matchup, I would say against us, probably we're probably I would say with this configuration, let's bring it back. Big underdog. And the reason being is because they can play through endurance. Force of Vigor they also know about, so like really you're kind of heavily relying on Thoughtseize and Collective. Now, if they stumble, it's easy for you to turn the corner, but I would say Storm's probably a difficult matchup. At least with this current configuration. That's kind of my take on some of these matchups. Let me know if you disagree. By the way, some of them are obviously like can be adjusted a little bit because depending on sideboards and things like that. Like obviously, if Storm's playing opposition agent, it gets even worse for us. Like some of these dark ritual opposition agent decks, I don't really want to play against. But yeah, that's kind of my take on that. Like I said, Force of Vigor. If it's like Beseech Storm, this is live, but like against some of these other Storm decks, like TES, I think this like not as consistent. You still board it in, but you hope to get lucky more or less. All right. Any other questions? Great questions, by the way. Love the questions. And yeah, let me know if you disagree with some of these assessments. I am willing to say that again, based on configuration, play skill, a lot of these can swing one way or the other. If there are no other questions, I will raid the Will Hall, I guess. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. All right, no problem, Dukes. Thank you for showing out here. Always a pleasure. For what's worth, Dukes is one of the friendliest encounters I know, and I've always had great pleasure interacting with Dukes and just talking Green Sun Zenith with him. All right, until next time. I don't know. Next time will probably be 2 weeks away. I am gonna be out of town, so take that for what it's worth. Going on vacation, so probably 2 weeks away, if at most. I mean, sorry, at minimum. All right, thank you for hanging out.